You and I have the ability to change the future for our children by providing them with the resources to learn a second language. It would help increase their marketability, break social barriers, enable them to travel the world, and give them a newfound respect for cultures different than their own. Before I chose to go to school for bilingual elementary education, I spent hours researching the job market, and I've always been incredibly interested in different cultures and exposing them to young children. This is why today I am proposing to you, my school district, that this school be a pioneering district for bilingual elementary education classrooms. I want to show you how pre-existing classrooms have worked in other countries and how we are being held back in our own country. I will also explain how the program would ideally operate. Finally, we will learn some of the many benefits of making this next generation bilingual. Since the United States most closely resembles European countries and their education systems, and since they are so successful in their language programs, I want to model a system that is after some of these countries. In most of the European countries, students begin learning between ages 5 to 9, according to data that I collected from the Eurostat. Since English is the most popular second language in Europe, 90% of the countries where English is the second language, or where English is not the first language, they are fluent in it by the time they graduate secondary school or high school. Almost every single nation requires that students learn a foreign language, and more than half of these countries require that a third language be learned. So you can really see how we're being held back in our own nation. There is no foreign language requirement for our own nation. It is left up to the states to decide, which is fine. However, most of these states leave it up to individual school districts to decide. In these school districts, they rarely require 4 years of a foreign language, and almost never require that it be offered in grade schools. So I'm proposing that our district be a pioneering school. We want a system that other school districts in the area can model after. Out of all of the school districts in our country, out of all the people in our country, only 7% have reported to be fluent in another language due to our current system. And as of many of you know, Spanish is on the rise, and it is predicted that by 2050, the U.S. will have the most Spanish speakers out of any other nation. If we do not enable our kids with the opportunity to learn Spanish, we are literally setting them up for failure later on in life. I know that a lot of you are questioning how this system would work and how we would effectively teach all the subjects in both languages. So it is important to know that we need to begin this system in kindergarten or first grade or preschool, just like the European countries. There are two very successful systems that have worked in other school districts in our nation, according to the International Development Research Center. The first is called the 90-10 model, which begins with 90% Spanish and 10% of the second language and 10% of the first. And then you increase each year until middle school by 10%. And then they would take the regular amount of Spanish through high school. And the other model is the 50-50 model, and in this they're able to focus more on differentiating between the two languages when it comes to specific subjects, and they just every year do 50% of each language through middle school. In either of these options, there have been many successful classrooms all across the nation. And since we are predicting that so many parents would want to be in the program, or so many parents would want their students to be in the program, we are going to use a lottery system, just like inner city Harlem schools. There are very few teachers who are qualified to teach both English and Spanish. So to make this possible, depending on how many teachers we get, we'll make the program bigger. We also want all of you parents to know that it is up to you to allow your child to be in the program. If you don't want them to be in the lottery, we're not making you. It's also important to realize that half the kids in the program are going to be native Spanish speakers and the other half will be English speakers, so there will be 2 different lotteries. I know that a lot of you think that this program is going to be too costly, but I can promise you that it's not, because of all the donations that we have already been offered. The only extra cost for operating this program is the 5 to 10% higher salary that the bilingual teacher would receive. Being bilingual would greatly benefit the future of our children, because it improves focus, improves their testing scores in other subjects, their communication skills, and their marketability for jobs. I know that, and my colleagues know that, there's a heavy focus on math and science for this day and age, but due to a study performed by professors through the National Institute of Health, they found that children who are multilingual are not only better at multitasking, and they're better at focusing in general, and the scores for native English speakers in the immersion program scored significantly higher on their math and reading scores than those who were not in bilingual programs, according to the research conducted through the Michigan State University. They also found that the non-English native speakers that were in bilingual school, taking both Spanish and English, did significantly better as well. By teaching the next generation to communicate with people who are culturally difficult than we are, we're teaching them to be respectful and empathetic, and to really get along with children who are different than they are, and to break those barriers down. Also, whether it be to study, to teach, to serve, or just to travel, we're opening up so many doors for our kids internationally. And not only this, but employers always favor employees who are bilingual over those who are not. Not only this, but they will receive on average 5 to 20% more, according to career building websites, in their salaries than those who are not bilingual. And there are thousands of jobs out there that require one thing, and that is being bilingual. So an immersion classroom would allow kids to fulfill their dreams that we never had the opportunity to, especially abroad. In the current monolingual system in our country, in our district, has been holding us back for so many years, and with Spanish rapidly on the rise, it is crucial that we establish a new system for the success of our children. Just by allowing them the opportunity to be bilingual, and at little cost to us or our district, we are able to make their futures so much brighter. So why wouldn't we?